I wanted to make a solid foundation for us first before we started our family. And
if I would have had that perspective of, if you know that you want to do this and you know who you want to do this with, and you all are putting parameters in place and you're setting that foundation, like Lainey was saying, you can still make it happen regardless of what that journey looks like. Welcome to another episode of the Holistic Sister Circle. I'm super excited for this. We are all about motherhood versus career first. And the goal of this episode is really to focus on, there's no right or wrong, right? But we do want to understand the preferences and if it makes more sense to go into motherhood right away or to start your career journey right away. So I have some powerful speakers for you all today, and I cannot wait to dive in so you all can hear their perspectives on this. Now, for this, the way that this works is I am going to ask a question. After that question is being asked, whoever wants to go first can have that conversation and we can talk about it. If you have a rebuttal, if you have a disagreement, if you don't like what someone is saying, that's okay. Share your piece. There's no problem in doing that. I just ask that everyone is still respectful of everyone who's here. So I appreciate that. And we'll go from there. Okay, so the first question is, does prioritizing motherhood mean sacrificing your career goals, or can both coexist?
Yeah, that's a really tough one. I guess I'll just share I think it's different for everybody. For myself, I know that when I had my first child, I was a single mother at the time, and I didn't really have a career yet, actually. So I wasn't willing to put my child in daycare. And actually, I was in the middle of, I was in the beginning of a career of becoming a teacher in Waldorf education. And I felt just instinctually, I felt like that was not something I was willing to do. So I got creative, and I decided to open up a home daycare where I could stay with my child and take care of other children. Now, it was extremely challenging, of course, but your question is asking, is it better to enter into motherhood first and then career, or the opposite? I'd be curious to hear what you other ladies have to say about that.
So my immediate thought process goes into, what are you capable of doing financially? Because I feel like that allows you to have space to be able to have a career. If financially you have an adequate amount of income coming in, that can create the space to be able to be with your child as well as pursue that career as well. Whereas I can see somebody who may not be in a great place financially, and they might not be able to do a daycare or have someone taking care of their child, and they have to be present for that to be able to help bring that person up, right? So that's what I would say is maybe one of the barriers when it comes to focusing on child, being able to have a child first, or being able to focus on having a career, is where are you financially?
Yeah,
definitely, I agree with that too, because, me personally, I started doing massage therapy right at the get-go, went to school, got my career going. I actually met my husband now back then as well, and we were both pursuing our careers, and we both had this understanding that we were going to do, what we wanted to do first. He wanted to go to school, get his master's for special education, and I wanted to build my massage business, and I did it all word of mouth. I worked with chiropractors, doctors, wellness centers, worked with surgeons, eye doctor. I mean, the list went on and on, because it was all like, hey, I know this massage therapist, she'll come to your office. Like, I was mobile. That was my thing. I wanted to make a solid foundation for us first before we started our family. And we, of course, lived in the tiny apartment. We waited 10 years to get married, and all of our friends were having kids, getting married, doing all the things. And they're like, when are you guys ever going to do this? Well, we're like, we're still getting our ducks in a row, basically, you know. So we wanted to make sure we had a big yard, and we had all these goals for ourselves, you know, before we decided to add little, you know, humans in with it. And so that's kind of where we are. We actually waited 14 years, you know, to have kids. So I already built my foundation. You know, I had a house for 4 years before we decided to have our kids. We had dogs first, you know. We have a little farm. We have chickens, goats. Like, that was my main goal, was to be able to be home with the kids, teach them the farm life. You know, we do grow our own crops. We harvest our own chickens. You know, I teach our kids, like, that's what we do right now, you know, and we milk the cows next door. Like, it's just a whole thing that I envisioned, you know, and that's kind of where I am. I did the career first and the motherhood now, and I can't believe I did it, but I have 3 kids now. And my husband was always like, let's have 3. I'm like, okay, well, let's see how the first one goes, you know, and then we'll go from there. And then it was just like this whole thing of like, we were in our next chapter of mom and dad life. You know, we had all these years together. We're like, okay, mom and dad switch. Like, it was totally, it's so fun right now. I love it. And I just love that we have built that foundation for our kids. You know, we're trying to teach them financial stuff as well. You know, we all have bank accounts for them already, and they're 7, 4, and 2, you know, so we're getting them set up for their future, and we're trying to teach them, you know, that it could be a thing on how you want to do what you want to do. We weren't set up that way, you know, so we want to do it differently for our kids, and that's kind of where I am with that situation and how that works. I love this topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say too, for everyone, thank you for just sharing your thoughts and your opinion on this, because this is such a trending topic just on social media in general. And I do believe that, you know, there are a lot of women who have children very early on, right? Like, and then maybe they're not necessarily able to have that support or like that foundation. But I do also believe that if that is you, you know, what are some things, and to also have this be a twofold, what are some things that you would recommend, anyone can speak to this, for those who may have not been able to have that foundation right from the beginning, and maybe they already had children during their early years? Like, what would be some advice that you could give to them if they maybe weren't necessarily financially stable when they had their child, but they didn't want to terminate the pregnancy?
Yeah. Yeah, I just think those first 3 years are so important, right? Like, it's been proven that age birth to 3 are the most formative years. And so it's really important that if you're choosing to, you know, have a child, to really understand that and know that if you put in the time and the energy and the dedication, even though it's hard, you know, just being present and giving love, and, you know, the child themselves is not going to know that you're struggling financially, or that you don't have a financial foundation, right? Like, so I just know it's so important that if you can pour yourself into that child for those formative years, it's gonna bear fruit, right? It's so much better to, I mean, do all that you can, you know, whether it's getting government assistance or leaning on friends and family, or, you know, whatever that you have to do. And this was another thing that when I faced single motherhood when I was 28, I wasn't that young, but it was young. And one of the things that a friend had said to me at that time, because it was scary, right? Like, it's like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to keep this baby. She really just said, just trust, like, things will come together, you know? And it really did work out that way. Like, things did come together, even though it was hard. But yeah, I just think it's really important to just to trust the process of really just finding strength within yourself, getting that emotional support so that you can really be there fully for the child. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, I love, there's something that you mentioned. For one, I am without child. So to note that, I have children around me when it comes to my nephew, when it comes to my friends. And and family as well too. So I guess that's the voice that I get to bring to this conversation today. But there's something that you mentioned, right? Like the child doesn't know that you're struggling financially. They don't know that at all. Of course, we would end up mentally going through it. But the thing that they know that they do notice that you were talking about as well too is like being there for the child. Like they will start being aware that they're being ignored, for example, that they're not getting enough attention, and then they start using their emotions because they're not even sure of how to handle it. So what the question was, what would be word advice? Again, someone that is without a child, but that has been able to see the environment. I think my biggest thing is to be able to be with the child, to give them space, to actually make sure that you're not always on your phone, and then the kid becomes an iPad kid, not because an iPad obviously is very fun to do to have, but it's because you're not giving that kid that space as well too, and they start acting a certain way because of that, right? So that, and as well as using community. I know it's hard for us to ask for help and accept help as well too,
Yeah.
but community is going to be one of the biggest and most important things, because we can't do everything on our own as much as we think we can, and we might have grown up to do that. Those are the two things: is really paying attention to that child, because there will be 2 weeks where I don't see my nephew, and all of a sudden he looks like a normal human being. I'm like, what's going on? When did you develop that facial expression? But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I agree with that too. Go ahead, babe.
no. I was just going to say this is actually such a great topic too, because one of the things that even in my situation, so I am like Krish, right? I don't have children of my own biologically, but I do have two step babies. And one of the things that I've realized even working with them is they really enjoy doing whatever you're doing, being
Mm-hmm.
like, it doesn't matter what it is, but if you're including them in that process, even if you don't have it all figured out or together, them just knowing that, ooh, like I can go along for the ride,
Yeah.
that excites them. And I think it's important to realize that, like, wherever you are, whether you are, becoming a mom for the very first time, or you're trying to do your career first, no problem with that. But just understanding too that if you are deciding to have children later on, that you also understand what those risks could potentially be if that is what your goal is. Because I've also seen it, ways too, where I've had friends who they would have loved to have children, and unfortunately they just didn't have the partners that they chose at that time just weren't the best fit. And now they're in a position where they can't have children, and they've waited for too long. So I think within that, understanding what your goals are, and then making sure too that you're doing everything that you can to heal, to remove whatever baggage that you need to, so you can bring not just life, but also attract a partner that makes sense to have these children with, and then be able to support them in a way where they can be on this journey with you.
Absolutely.
Lainey, I feel like you wanted to say something.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I just love too that we're having this conversation because there are a lot of moms that are struggling, and I feel like, at one point, because I did therapeutic massage for a lot of years. I was in that communication. I got to talk to people face to face, and then 2020 hit, and I at the time I had my 2.5-year-old. And then I made my own schedule. I have a big support system. I'm the baby of five. So I have my mom, my sisters, like I helped them raise their kids, all those years. And now here they are taking off their 18, 25, 30, they're all having their own kids. And I'm like, I can't even believe how the time's flown. But now it's like my sisters get to do the reverse thing now. Like they get to help me since I helped them. And it's one of those things where my time away is very valuable. And we do everything with our kids. Our kids are like, if we leave, they're like, what? We don't get to go? Like, it's that kind of thing where, okay, mom, how long are you gonna be gone? Like, they want to know all the details. And she's right. It's all about that time that you make with them. And, like I said, I already made that foundation of, kind of watching my friends and how they did things. And okay, I'm not going to do it that way. Or, like, okay, I guess I'm going to try it, do it this way. And they all have their personalities. Don't get me wrong. It's all about being consistent. They love scheduling. They all come to me when it's time to, do things like it's time for learning, mom. Like we try to plan out our schedule for the day, which it gets a little hectic because things come up and we can't do it. And then I have to explain to them why things come up and things change, and it's all about communication. And a lot of times I don't, you just don't see that in a lot of kids. Just here's your tablet and that sort of
Mhm.
stuff. And we've lost our tablets around here, so any tablet time they get is special. They're like, oh, you found my tablet. I'm like, oh yeah, you got an hour, and I set a timer. Like they love that consistency, and I think that's another thing, is just being consistent with them too.
Yeah, and on the topic of that, I really like what we're talking about, because like for me with my nephew, whenever I go over, like I'm the person that's always doing things with him, right? So there was this one moment where we were making dinner, and I'm like, Amari, do you want to cook with me? And he's just like, yeah, because he's never really like, there's boundaries in the kitchen. Obviously, the kitchen can be a very dangerous place, but I'm like, okay, let's grab a stool. You can stand over here and you can watch what I'm doing. And he was so fascinated. And so afterwards, and we kind of made it fun. I'm like, I'm chopping carrots. And he's like, I'm chopping carrots. And then afterwards, my mom and my sister would try to do it. And then he'll be like, no, I like when doing it with auntie. Because like, they want to be involved. They want to be around. And that's why on the topic of just giving them that space where they have the opportunity to do that I think is so, so important.
Yeah, absolutely. We also have some comments coming in. So Elmira says, yes, fellow massage therapist here. So you have another massage therapist. She also said, that's what my mom said. All 6 of us, her kids, have their own personality. So whoever said something about personality, I think it was Lainey.
Yeah.
Yes.
On that. Awesome. Okay, next question. How do cultural expectations shape the motherhood versus career conversation? And if you need me to elaborate on this, I can.
Yes, please.
Okay. So when I ask this question, what I'm noticing is depending on how you were raised or the type of culture that you were brought up in, would also determine when you decide to have children and when you don't. Sometimes it can also be based on your environment as well, right? For example, I was raised by a single mom, and my parents divorced when I was 9 years old. And her biggest thing was make sure that when you have children, you do it when you're financially able to, regardless if that man is there or not.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I took that as, when my husband had first asked me to marry him, I was like, oh no, like financially, I'm not prepared. I'm not prepared to do this yet, because I knew that the next step would be babies. And I was like, oh, I'm not prepared for that either. And I was just getting into the flow of my career and journey and things of that nature, where for him, he wasn't looking at it that way. He just wanted to, he wanted us to at least start that life together. And I do believe that in my situation, although what she was saying was obviously true, I internalized that as a way of me removing myself completely from what I actually wanted to solely focus on my career, which honestly delayed a lot of the things that I wanted to do long term, because things come up, things happen, things shift. And I think if I would have had that perspective of, it's okay if you don't have it all figured out 100% right at this moment. But if you know that you want to do this and you know who you want to do this with, and you all are putting parameters in place and you're setting that foundation, like Lainey was saying, you can still make it happen regardless of what that journey looks like for you all, because everyone's journey is going to be different. And, I'm appreciative of what she said, but I also believe too, because of that, it hindered me from moving forward in what I really wanted at that time, and delaying my process. So when I'm asking this question for you all, when it comes to just culture or dynamics in your home or in your household when you were younger, or even friends and family members that you've connected with, do you feel like that has played a major role on you or someone that you love or know having children versus not having children and starting their career first?
So I guess the first thing that would come to mind for me when in terms of culture, I would say, because I grew up with a single parent. So born in Jamaica, moved here when I was 4. We moved here because my mom ended up marrying my stepfather. And so I have a younger sister and a younger brother who are my half siblings, right? And so growing it up in that environment, I've seen my mom go through the absolute most. And she's a strong woman, right? I have literally only seen her cry once because of a crazy scenario that ended up happening where we actually ended up becoming homeless for a period of time. And so one thing that at this age, because I'm 30, I had the expectations of by this time, I'm going to have a family, I'm going to have kids, all of the above. And then, of course, people start talking about that timeline with being able to even be a mother. And from my experiences, from seeing my mom go through so much, and she's done amazing. If I can list off all the things that she's been able to accomplish and she's been able to do with caring for all of us in that house and literally holding us all together and going through it, it's incredible to see. But being able to see that, I know that she does not want me to go through that as well. So that has stopped me from wanting to become a mother without having some sort of stability and some sort of foundation. Because for one, saying that, I know that I'm also a very strong woman. And, with being the person that has a business and everything, like I know what I'm capable of being able to do. I just know immediately, do I want to put that all together at this moment? And is that something that I can be fully ready for in this moment? So that's kind of what's helped shape my view of motherhood. If we're going to be talking about the culture, and I'm utilizing the culture within my life experience as seeing an immigrant take on this load and being able to hold a family together, which is so incredible and beautiful to see, knowing that I have somebody that is capable of doing that. So I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. We also have a comment that came in. I can say in the Black community, it was about career first.
Mm-hmm.
Single mom, take care of you first. Plus, there was an undertone of men can't be trusted. That was something that was in my household as well. But to your point, though, like my mom, she did everything. Like she did the best that she could with the tools and the resources that she had. And even though my dad was there, he wasn't there physically with us on a daily basis. So a lot of the things that we learned were through her own experiences. And again, nothing wrong with that. But I also think it's important that you take what you need and you leave what you don't, because not everyone's experiences are the same. And if you were just solely focusing on what your parents did or your grandparents did, and you're not necessarily focusing on, what you need and what you don't need in order to thrive in the environment that you want to be in, and getting around those people who are in that environment currently, it can be very difficult. So, Lainey and Tania, I would love to hear your perspective on this as well.
Go ahead, Tina.
Yeah. Well, this is, so we're talking about motherhood and career, and having, I have 2 kids. The first one I was single. The second one I have my now partner. And it's really, I feel like the bigger issue, and just hearing the comments, the comment, is that, what is going on with men? Honestly, like the first, my first child, he was just a Peter Pan. He didn't want the responsibility. He didn't, you know what I mean? He didn't want to step up. And then, once I got really clear on like, okay, like this is the kind of person I want to attract. I want to attract someone who's committed, who's a good father, who is going to be there for me no matter what. And that's what God brought to me. And it was a totally different experience. And so I think it gets to be a really difficult question as a woman to think, okay, do I choose motherhood or career first? Because I just feel like, honestly, for me, yeah, we can all be mothers, whether we're single or not, but it's definitely impacts your experience of motherhood, right? And so, I feel like the question needs to be like, can we heal whatever wounds that we have in relationship with whatever is going on with men, like my mother, I kind of had the same imprint. Like, my mother was the breadwinner. My father, I mean, they were married for 20 years. They divorced when I was 18, but my dad was always fumbling through life and never really responsible. And so my mother was always stressed and being the breadwinner and pulling it all together for the family. And that was the model I got as well. And so, yeah. And I don't know what the answer is, right? Because seems to be like such a widespread issue of what's going on with the masculine and the feminine, and why is it so out of balance? Because I feel like what I'm seeing is that women that go after career, they want it all, right? But they also, it seems to me like they struggle in finding the right partner, and then they find that they're miserable, right? Because they're not really, they can't really be fully in the feminine, which is just to be that chalice of, holding life, So I don't know. That's kind of how I feel about it.
I like that too, because like we are all different and unique in our own ways. And I feel like we all need to find our strengths no matter what it is. I mean, just find your strength and what is, going to help you, because whenever you feel strong, like, you have so much power, and that mindset is a true thing. Like, a lot of people just don't even take the time to breathe. A lot of times just taking your deep breaths and focusing on, okay, what needs to be done now, because sometimes you can't worry about things that you can't worry about, that are you things you can't control. So a lot of times people worry about things that they can't control. And then we also have this subconscious mind, like, there's all these roles that play. And then if you don't have the support, like she was saying, as a partner, you're trying to do all the things. Like, I do a lot of things here now because I do work from home. I have a home-based business now, and that's what I'm doing, is juggling the kids and the husband and the farm and all that. And he goes to work and he comes home, and but the thing is like, we have our balance on, who does reading and does all that stuff, because it literally does take a village to run to run it all. And
Yeah.
if you are running on zero, and a lot of women are, because they're trying to cook the dinner, they're cleaning the dishes, they're, greeting with the kids, like, it's all a thing. And so trying to make sure the dogs get fed or the chickens get fed, like, it's this thing where you're always going, and everybody relies on you for everything. If mom's not around, then, like, everything stops, and that's the way it is on on our farm anyways. And so I feel like just finding that balance and what helps you, finding this right here is good for me. And I found that, with my kids, they've learned to, like, oh, this is mom's work time, and so every once in a while they'll come in and they'll talk to me and stuff, but they'll know, like, if I'm talking, then we're not going to bother mom, but I found that, okay, I could put Bubba in this spot and sister in this spot, and so you just try to find that balance where you can do you, so you can be there for them, and it's just it's kind of hard to do rather than say, and sort of stuff like that. So just mainly, a lot of people don't breathe, stretch. A lot of times people don't even, like, right when they wake up, just sit on the edge of the bed and stretch, and, like, just
Mhm.
take that deep breath, put your feet on the floor and say, hey, I got this today. Like, no matter what comes my way, like, we're going to figure it out, and that's just been, like, my mindset. And if it needs to be done, do it now, write it down, or put it on your calendar. Dishes need to be done, just do it now. It only takes 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Take out the trash. It takes 5 minutes. Like, it's just one of those things where I've learned, do it now, do it now, do it now, do it now, and that's kind of where I'm just trying to learn that, mindset to focus on what needs to be done for me, because if I don't do me, then I can't help anybody else. So
Yeah.
that's my intake on that part too.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And for the ladies who are listening to, whether you have children or you don't have children, and maybe you want children or you don't, I think it's really important to hear the different perspectives, because it's a lot of work trying to juggle it all. And you are going to need help, and you are going to need that community to really tap in. And I think it's important too that you also surround yourself with women who are, prayer warriors as well. Because Lord knows, there are days where I'm like, okay, I just need you to pray for me real quick, right? I just need, I need that communion, I need that community, and that's what this is all about. So if you have any voice in particular that you're like, oh my gosh, I totally resonate with her, like reach out to her, right? Connect with her. That's what this is all about. I have one message in here that says, oh, hold on. Okay. Oh, this is a good one. A lot of younger people are making the decision to not have children due to the turmoil they saw with their parents. What are y'all
I got
thoughts?
a phone call. Sorry.
No, you're good. What are your thoughts about just a lot of women not wanting to have children?
It's sad. I mean, it's sad. That's kind of where we're at. I mean, I know, like, for my son who's 22, he's looking at the world and just going like, what's going on? Like, how do I navigate this? Like, nothing makes sense anymore. So, I mean, there's no right or wrong answer, of course, but it's definitely like, can you guys hear me?
We can hear
I
you.
can.
Okay, because I know Blair's frozen. Or sorry, Vaire, not Blair. My apologies. Anyway, yeah, there's some crackling going on.
Yeah, just a little bit. I can hear that too. There's a little feedback.
Yeah, so this question of like, what does it mean that women are choosing not to have kids because, for whatever the reason, if it's because of, if the lens is looking at it's too traumatic, like there's too much trauma, there's too much upset, there's, then clearly that is just a symptom of a larger societal issue, right? It's not really about what's going on in the woman's mind per se, or any particular individual. To me, it's just like this it's like the canary in the coal mine, right? It's like, okay, if people are choosing not to have children because they don't feel safe, they don't want to bring up children in a world where there's so little harmony and the likelihood of divorce is so high, or is there going to be enough, all these kind of things, and then it's something much deeper, I think.
Yeah, I think it's people are realizing that, or women are realizing that they have a choice now. And before it was just like the get married, have kids, and that was the only goal, the only insight, But now it's like you mentioned, there's so much that's happening in the world that we're internally dealing with, and now it's like, do I want to bring a child to also have to deal with this as well too, as I'm trying to figure this all out? So, and of course, as we've gained more power as women, we're realizing we also have the power of choice in this state as well too.
Yeah. And maybe that's just part of like a larger evolutionary process. Like, I don't know. It's kind of like we're in new territory, right? So what is going to be the result of that? We don't know yet.
And there's, with the part of having the choice not to have kids, there's also the choice of now freezing eggs. It's becoming, thankfully, a lot more apparent in the world as well too, that there is that option. Also, welcome back.
Yeah.
Thank you. Are you guys still getting feedback? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go get my other earpiece. I'll be right back, hun.
Okay, we'll see you soon. Yeah, I was doing an episode. This is so off topic, but I was doing an episode last night and my internet just kept going in and out. Like it was so crazy. So thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, so while she is doing that, next question is it possible to truly have it all, or does something always have to give?
I don't think you can have it all. I think it's really hard. I don't know, but um, I think there's a season for everything, but I just don't think you can have everything all at once.
Yep.
You know, I don't think you can be a mom and like be flying all over the world and, you know, whatever, like having a massive business, you know, and have like a deep connection with your child. You know, I mean, there's just, you know, something has to give, but, you know, everything in a season, I think.
I agree with that 100% wholeheartedly. It's something that I teach my clients in my realm when it comes to like fitness, because for example, everyone will want abs, but then they'll want to be able to lift like 500 pounds, but also want to make sure that they go to their doctor and they're not dealing with any sort of health concerns. It's like they'll do a million things because they want abs, but then they want to be able to do those things. But all those things have different places, different seasons for it. So yes, we can have it all, but not all at the same time. And that's when things start getting overwhelming. That's when things start feeling like, why am I incapable of being consistent or being able to do the things that I can? It's because we look on social media and we see all these happy lives, but we're not seeing what's happening behind there. Where we think that everything can happen all at once, when in reality, it's like there's stages, but we're not really taught that or not shown that or made that seen as an actual reality.
Lainey, did you hear the question?
You'll have to repeat it, hun. Sorry about that. Can you hear me
No
now?
worries. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Is it possible to truly have it all, or does something always give?
Oh gosh, there's always something that has, you know, that gives, and you just never know in each situation, you know, just trying to have that calm mindset has a lot to do with it too. I mean, there's things that come along with, you know, like my mom's getting ready to have a heart surgery, and you know, you worry so much when it comes to your mama, you know, and then you start thinking about yourself and how you can, you know, try to help, you know, your kids and their future, and you know, that sort of stuff. And it's kind of like, um I don't know how to explain it, but just trying to, like I said, once again, finding that balance. But I just feel like, uh, you know, me personally, trying to find a way to take care of my clients and my family and still be present for my kids was like my main goal. And I prayed about it a lot, and it just fell right into my lap. And I feel like that was like, thank you for that moment in my life. Like being able to help my clients, you know, without physically touching them, and be actually something that is holistic and good for long-term benefits as you age, has been literally sent to me in so many ways, just for myself, for my family, everybody, you know. And it's just finding that that balance. And for me, I, at this moment in my life, I have found it, you know. And I feel like not so like free about it, but there were times where I was like, what am I going to do? How am I going to take care of my clients? Like, I knew I had my setup for, I could live for however many years on what we had going on, but I was like, I'm not just going to be able to stay home and not do anything, you know? So I just, you know, reached out, tried to find my balance of trying to be here for the kids and do what I need to do for us financially, you know, and take care of my, you know, husband's needs as well, because it's like we had so many years together. Like I said, it's like us and the kids, you know. And so we have to find that time for us. And when we do, it's like, okay, we're recharged. Let's go ahead and, you know, on to the next thing that we need to do, you know. So I don't know. For me at this time, I feel like it's great timing for everything that's falling together, and I feel like I kind of envision that, and I feel like that mindset has a lot to do with it too. I know the whole vision board and all that stuff is a thing for people too, and so, you know, just to have that, this is already happening in my life type of attitude, you know, has helped me too, even when I didn't have it, you know.
Yeah, no, and I'm grateful that you all are saying this, because I even know for me, one of the things that I was very I'm getting an echo. I don't know who that's from, but I'm gonna mute. Okay. Maybe it's from you, Lainey. I'm not sure. One of the things that I noticed at that time was I was very like black and white, yes or no, right or wrong. So even for me, like stepping into in a kind of a already like made family, right? I had to kind of learn all these different things of like, okay, how do I do all of this? How do I, how can I be here and be there and, do all the things that I still enjoyed prior to this relationship with these children? And I lost myself through all of that. Like I didn't really understand what I wanted anymore. I wasn't sure where I needed to go, where I needed to be, who I needed to show up as. And it can be very frustrating, especially whether you're a new mom or again, you're going into an already like made family and you're trying to connect. And it's like, how do I do all of this? And I do think, to everybody that it is important to understand that everything isn't a season, right? There was a season where I needed to be, that person to kind of help things stay afloat. But then there was also a season of me where I actually needed to go and separate myself and be able to get things together and then come back even stronger. And I say that because I've also seen a lot of couples do this too, where they have that time apart, and it's okay to like be away from your spouse or your partner to rejuvenate. Like that's okay. Where there's other couples that I've seen where they're always together, and if you talked about taking some time for yourself, they're like, what do you mean? So I do think it's important to have that balance, but then also understand too that you can't do it all at all the time in one setting. Like you're going to have a moment and figure out what makes the most sense right now in the season that you're in. So I do appreciate all of you all for that perspective. Now we do have about 15 more minutes left. So I'm going to ask one more question, and then I would love for all of you to talk a little bit more about what you do, who you are, and how everyone can connect further. So my last question for you is, how do we define success as a woman? Is it family-centered, career-centered, or both?
Well, for me, it's just
Are you frozen?
for me, I have to do both just because that's how I am. I'm gonna be an all-arounder. And I like to make sure that, you know, I have the success along with building the family and showing. I just want to show other women that you can do this. You can juggle. You can do this. So you can have the family, you can have the career, and you can do it all. You got to find the balance and find what is, like I said, your power and what works best for you. We do a color code in what I do, and just knowing that personality and knowing that color and what they need to help them thrive is really what I love about that. And just, it's not about knowing everything about the colors, it's more of me knowing the colors so I can resonate more with them. It's more about empathy. A lot of, like she was saying, that guys do not have empathy whatsoever. They do not empathize with anything that we're doing. They don't know, how we're feeling and all that stuff. And even if you try to tell them, they don't listen. So they're thinking about what they're going to say next. It's just it's seriously a whole thing. And it's hard to find that balance, but just knowing what you have and what you bring to the table is key,
I guess my answer for this would be, of course, it depends on each person. But for me, I think as we're talking about the seasons, success would be with whatever season that you're in, right? So speaking as someone who right now is career driven, that doesn't have a family, that doesn't have children. Well, I do have family. Let's not say that. I got my internal family, hasn't started a new family, right? So success right now is having a career that I love, working with women that I love, and also being surrounded by love and having love internally so that there's a foundation to start from. Eventually, when I do start a family, then success is going to look like both, because I'm not going to give up my career to have a family. That's going to definitely look different because it's going to be a different season. But right now, that's what success looks like. And I think it just depends on where you're at and what you see for yourself in that era, in that season that you're in, and how you can see success for you. At least that's how I see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it depends on like how do you define success, right? And so I feel like always I love the Buddhist contemplation of death, right? Like you could die tomorrow, right? So what are you going to be doing today? You know, and so to me, I feel like I think a lot of us can get caught up in success equaling making lots of money or getting a lot of recognition and accolades, you know, that maybe feeds the ego in some way. And maybe not just necessarily ego, but, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of gratification and like, you know, feeling accomplished. But I think really at the end of the day, for me, success is really about the quality of your relationships. You know, so if you have a business like you, Chris, that you know, you work with clients and training them, right? Physical training and that kind of thing. I'm sure it matters a lot to you, like how am I with my clients? Like, is it nourishing, right? So as long as so I don't think, you know, family success, I think it kind of boils down to relationships and like who are you being with the people that you're connected with, right? Because business is always involving people, whether you're a coach or whether you're producing a product or, you know, whatever it is. It's what is the love that's exchanged, you know? Are you enjoying your time, or are people enjoying your presence? You know, that's what success is for me. Yeah.
I concur.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for these perspectives. And just like what you were saying, Tania, too, one of the things that really resonated with me as well and had me thinking about this was, even for a family, that's still a business. Like family is still business. You still need to have these relationships. You need to put things in place. You need to be able to delegate all the things that you're doing in business. You're also doing from a family perspective as well. So you're right. It does boil down to just relationships and how you're connecting with the people that you're with, and you know, how value is being shared amongst the 2, 3, 4, 5 of you. So I do I certainly appreciate that. Now, we have about 10 minutes left, so I would love for you all to share a little bit about who you are, what you do, and if someone would like to connect with you further, what does that process look like? And Lainey, I'll have you go first.
Okay, so I did therapeutic massage for about 18 years. So now I'm actually working with a digital holistic company. We're the hormone health company, and I didn't know anything about hormones back whenever I started doing this about 5 years ago. Just helping my clients in a deeper level has been really rewarding, and I thought I did good with my hands. And like she said, that relationship, it's all about that trust, and people want to do business with people they know and trust, and who they resonate with and stuff like that. So so what I do is I like to ask, how do you like to connect? How do you like to communicate? Do you like to text? Do you like to phone call? You like to get on Zooms? What works best for you? And then we kind of go from there, and just, I like to listen to people and what their, issues are, because, I know that I have the solution to their problem. We have a product that is actually 40 known benefits, all in one transdermal form. It has a 20-year track record. Our formulator is our owner, and he's so amazing. We have zero, competition, zero debt. Like I said, it's a moment in time for me where I'm just here this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm here to share what we have, and we're now rolled over $1 billion company in just 8 years, and nobody knows about us. So I'm just excited to be the first to be a part of something that's a category creator. So just get a hold of me on my Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I try to keep, excuse me, I try to keep up with all the platforms, but I'm just getting into this. So I'm just very proud to be somewhere where I can, have something that is a solid foundation, So thank you so much for having me on here, you guys. I'm really excited to be a part of the holistic circle, sister circle. So thank you so much. I appreciate this.
Absolutely. Thanks, Lainey. All right, Coach Krish, talk to me.
Hello. My name is Krishna Dunkley. I go by Coach Krish. So I'm an online health and fitness coach, and I basically help women learn how to lose weight by eating more and doing less. And every single time I tell someone that, they're like, huh? Because unfortunately, we were all told to do a whole bunch of diets to kind of starve ourselves and to do a cardio every single day, to really run our bodies down into the ground. And in reality, that's not the way, especially for us as women. We have hormones, we have a cycle. There's things that happen scientifically that aren't really fun to learn. So I get the opportunity to learn that, and then I get to spit it out in a different way that you can understand it. But I teach women to get to know their bodies, to reconnect with their bodies, to realize what they see in the mirror is something that they can absolutely love and be really excited about. And to know that you can be happy with where you're at right now and also have intentions to become the woman that you deserve to be. So I help women understand how to eat, to rebuild their relationship with food, to get out of those cycles, to not always have to focus on a number on a scale, because it's way more than that. It's being able to wake up with energy. It's being able to run around with your nephew, your kids, being able to show up for your family, your partner, and yourself, and just be really happy with also the physical changes that are happening, because everyone wants a nice waist and be able to fit in the beautiful dresses. Actually, no, not fit in the dresses. The dresses don't fit us. We fit the dress. Wait, the other way around. Whatever the size is, you guys know what I mean. But you can find me at Coach Krish. So it's with a K, Koach, Krish. I'm the one that replaces all my C's with K's. So I'm really grateful to be on this episode. I appreciate you for having me. And I'm excited to also tune into the other conversations, because I've seen some really great ones coming up too.
Yay. All right, Tania.
Awesome. Yeah. So my website is newearthconsciousness.com. I do healing work. I'm an energy healer. I do several different modalities, but family constellations is one of them. And so that's really about dealing with ancestral trauma or family of origin stuff. So for somebody that feels really stuck, whether that's, relationship issues or addictions or trauma or, issues with money or whatever it is, oftentimes those stories are not our own. They've been inherited. And so family constellations is really beautiful work to see into the unseen and actually have it come to light. And so the transformation gets to be really profound, because once you transform at a soul level, then your external reality changes, right? And so that's one of them. The other is emotional mind integration, another process for going into the subconscious and resolving things from the past that have been left unresolved that are still impacting you now. And then the last thing, which is kind of to the side, that I've been really passionate about, is really actually teaching people about how money works and how to build wealth from the ground up, and teaching people the rules of money and the importance of multi-handed income and things like that. So if people are interested in that, they can connect with me. And and so for basically one-on-one for the most part, and occasionally some group stuff. So yeah. And I'm on Facebook under Tanya Elena. You can find me there. Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. Tanya, I'm so sorry. I've been saying your name wrong this entire time.
That's okay. That's all right.
And you didn't say anything. Oh my God. Sorry. And then I want to share too, because you may have people listening that also are not familiar with the Holistic Sister Circle. So the Holistic Sister Circle is about 2 years old now, and the purpose of this was to bring women together for community, because we all know what it's like to feel like you're alone and to feel like you don't have the answers and you don't have anyone around you that can connect you with people who have the answers. So I wanted this to really be a space for women to come together, to have the conversations, and for other women to be able to connect and network with women they may not have ever met. So please, if you have someone that really connects with you and you would like to talk to them further, please do. Everyone's happy to learn more about you and what you do. And as far as me, I do have, of course, the podcast. I do have Podcast Launch Academy for those who are looking to launch their own podcast. And then I also have our speaker spotlights and speaker community events. So if you are someone who would like to connect with us further from a speaker perspective, please do. And then if you are someone who is like, hey, I want to learn more about how to get my body right, or I want to learn more about ancestral health, or just health in general, that you have a place here as well with all of our lovely speakers. So thank you all so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.